There's something strange about arriving in a place you've never been and feeling like it's where you're always meant to go. Iceland came to me in fragments before I even touched its soil. Images in my mind, a longing I couldn't name. And then the fragments became real. We started this journey at the southwestern end of Iceland. The first real stop was at the bridge between continents, a footbridge over the mid-Atlantic rift that literally spans two tectonic plates. Then we continued to meet our first glacier. The hot steam rising into the sky was unreal. It felt like the earth would slowly melt and hot water would come out of it, boiling with fervor. From there, we could already see our next destination, Reykjanes Lighthouse, which is located by a rough beach, where waves keep crashing onto the lava shore and birds flew over our heads, breeding on these massive rocks. The lighthouse itself had such a peaceful glare against the wild coast, a quiet beacon in a restless landscape. That first day taught me what Iceland would be for us. Elemental, humbling, alive. The next day we visited Foss and got captivated by its beauty as intense water masses crashed down. However, Foss was really small and had just a little bit of water coming down. We enjoyed our time there and took a bunch of photos on our way because we already knew that our next stop wouldn't be that peaceful. We found some old whaling ships on Google Maps and had to see them with our own eyes. After a short hike, we stood right in front of them and could nearly feel the impact it had back then. I was stunned by their huge size and it immediately created some horrible scenes in my head. Later that day we had to let this sink in for a bit and got pulled into these intense surroundings. Nature's scale overwhelmed me. History's weight did too. I carried both into the next day. Then we hit the Golden Circle and visited Thingvellir National Park, where the tectonic plates drift apart and Iceland's parliament was founded. And another famous geyser and Foss, one of the most powerful waterfalls I have ever seen. Despite not being alone at each of these destinations, I really enjoyed my time there. The roar of Foss kept echoing in my head, a sound that followed us into the morning. With the sounds of a big waterfall still being in our heads at night, we made our way to another, more dreamlike waterfall. We were completely alone at this spot and it felt magical, as if the world paused for us for a moment. From this dreamy waterfall we made our way to another one, which also wasn't crowded but had a powerful impact. All of these waterfalls made us feel ready for the next one, Foss, which is a waterfall inside a little valley covered with moss. It was a quick walk closer to it, and when we reached the point, we could almost put our hands into the water crashing down as we were walking right behind the fall. After that, we made our way to the next destination, which was one of the most amazing lookouts we've seen. With a beautiful view onto the black beach, waves crashing in and mountains on the other side, we were stunned by it. And it got even better as we saw our first puffin sitting on the cliffs. And then we walked down to the black beach and had a look at those famous basalt columns before we headed to our cottage and enjoyed the sun coming out of the clouds for once. Overwhelm was softening into eagerness. We wanted more, and Iceland kept giving. The next day also had a lot to offer as we started at one of the high canyons of Iceland. A serpentine canyon carved by a river, its moss-covered walls dropping steeply to the water below. It was breathtaking to look down into the valley and see the water flowing. Then we made a longer hike up to another beautiful waterfall, Svartifoss. As we finally reached the point where we could see the fall in its full beauty, we were amazed by the view and just stood there for a few minutes, unable to take our eyes off. But we wanted to get closer, so we continued our walk and got to the very end for a closer look at the basalt columns the fall was pouring over. Now we were ready for a complete change of scenery, as we drove toward one of Iceland's outlet glaciers. As we reached the lookout coming from the car park, we saw one man standing right in front of it, and he looked so small against those huge ice masses. It was such a magical feeling watching him to get soaked in by the view. And then it was our turn to do the same, as we walked closer to it and just enjoyed the view for a bit. After that, we drove to the place where the ice gets washed up, Diamond Beach. The ice and the black sand built a perfect contrast against each other and made it look like the area was covered with little diamonds. By the end of the day, awe had settled into gratitude. We weren't just seeing Iceland anymore, we were starting to feel it. Day 6 started with another waterfall, which had the most amazing view into the valley and was framed by mountains in the back. Other than that, this day had a lot of driving through the East Fjords. Seeing how the landscape changes every few minutes really amazed me. Cliffs falling into the sea, lonely farms, long quiet roads. And then, after another 1.5 hour drive through thick fog over a mountain pass, we finally got to meet these little guys a little closer. Seeing puffins was my wife's biggest dream, and we finally saw them up close and spent some time with them. It was one of the most beautiful moments we had during our Iceland travel. Joy felt simple and pure, like the sound of wings and the smell of salt. This day we visited Staflagil Canyon and made a little hike to it. On our way back we got into a crazy rain with the sun coming out of our backs. The rocks glistened, the path steamed, and we laughed, soaked, happy and very alive. Even the rain felt like a gift now. Then we made our way to Mývatn and stopped at one of the largest volcanic craters in the area. This one was actually created by the power of hot steam and water crashing onto its land. Having a look from the top of it felt amazing, as you could see the whole Mevaten area with its different types of landscape, from black dust to mossy fields and little lakes with mountains in the back. On our way to Akureyri, we stopped at another waterfall called Goðafoss, which is also one of the big ones, with crystal blue water flowing through the land. On this day we had a rather relaxed day and I did a hike on my own, which you can see in another video. If you don't want to miss anything, you should subscribe to this channel. This day had a lot of driving again, but we stopped at a few beautiful stops to stretch our legs until we reached our next cabin and enjoyed the sound of raindrops with a coffee. And then I had one of the best days of my life. We made our way to Holmavik, a small village in the West Fjords, to join a whale tour. I was nervous to get on that little boat, but as soon as we left the harbor, I started to relax and enjoy the view over the water and those little puffins bobbing on the surface. And then we spotted our first humpback whale. Seeing this tiny bit of its back stumped me, and I wanted to see it again. It came back up a few more times, and suddenly there were two of them traveling together. It was an amazing feeling to be this close to such an incredible animal. Later that day it got even better as we drove to a beach where a lot of different seals had their evening sun gazing session, just lying on the rocks. Joy peaked here, wild, gentle and unforgettable. Then we had a rather long day exploring the beauty of Snæfellsnes, starting with a waterfall at the mountain. The area was covered with high grass and flowers, and the water spilled into different streams flowing down the valley. After that, we visited a black church near the sea, elegant and timeless. From there we made another stop and climbed into a rock crevice. It was a scary feeling being there, surrounded by just rocks and water, and seeing birds fly above our heads. Then we made a few more stops along the coastline and enjoyed different views over the ocean and waves crashing onto the cliffs. At Malarif, after enjoying the view of a lighthouse, we had another friendly encounter, this time with a little Arctic fox who kept strolling around the parking lot. I felt full, not just with places, but with moments. After all of these magical moments, it was time to slowly come to an end of this trip while driving back to Reykjavik. But before, we had to take another look at a waterfall, which really amazed us again. It was so powerful and so beautiful with its crystal blue color, water braiding over old lava as if the island itself was still cooling. Satisfaction with a thread of sadness began to pull tight. And then our last time had arrived. We spent it wandering through Reykjavik and letting all of those memories from the past days sink in for another moment before taking the flight back to Germany. Leaving felt heavy, but the kind of heavy that comes from carrying something precious home. So this trip was honestly a dream come true. I wanted to see Iceland for such a long time, and now being able to do this with my wife as a honeymoon was more I could ever imagine. We've seen things I will definitely never forget, and I'm so grateful for all of this. And I also want to thank you guys for sticking around for so long. This was honestly one of my hardest and longest video I've ever made, so knowing that you guys are still watching means a whole lot to me. So thank you for watching, subscribing, liking, commenting. It really means a lot and I'm very grateful for this. Also, I want to thank the sponsor of this video, Artlist. The music and sound effects I used made this edit and the footage really come to life, and that's a very powerful tool for filmmakers. So if you want to use it for yourself, check the link in the description and you'll get 2 extra months for free if you subscribe to the annual plan. Now that's it for the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.